Shah. Saikratsuli Maritor. Are you ready for your final lesson? From the day I found you, I knew you were special, Gia. The Force is strong in the lineage of the Jedi, after all. But you could be so much more. What will your legacy be? Will you become my greatest achievement? Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me.
Well, I have to tell you that when I was running for Ripple for the last 3 years, the APAC MENA business, and MENA has been the fastest adopter of technology from Ripple to date. So we have signed banks in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in Oman, possibly in Kuwait shortly. So the appetite for embracing Ripple's DLT technology for cross-border payments, enormous interest. So the enthusiasm of the regulator, the central banks, to also encourage the use of Ripple technology to build new infrastructure for payment rails, not just within the country but across the GCC, I think augurs really, really well for the adoption of the latest technology in this region.
As you are weak now.
Brett Garlinghouse. He joins us right now. And you know, David, some say Ripple could be the next Bitcoin. What do you think, Brad? Is that a compliment that Ripple could be the next Bitcoin?
Well, I think if we're solving a real problem and it's at scale, then I think it's a compliment. I think the most important thing that is going on in crypto is understanding what is real and what is just hype. Some, I think, may look back on Bitcoin and find that it was the Napster of digital assets. What I mean by that is Napster was the first to digitize music and demonstrate, hey, if you digitize music, you can do a lot of cool things with that. But ultimately, they were circumventing trademark laws, they were circumventing royalty payments, and government stepped in, and Napster was not successful. But Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, they were very successful. I think what you'll find is that maybe the next generation of digital assets ends up solving some of the original problems that Bitcoin set out to solve.
Invite Ryan and Desiree. I don't know if you would like to comment on this. Ryan, go ahead.
Proof of work doesn't work.
Proof of work doesn't work. It's been widely.
Ryan, proof of work's been working.
Let me finish.
Let him
Proof
finish.
of work doesn't
Let
work.
him finish, please.
And in the early days of Bitcoin, there was a whole group of developers that broke off to create other assets, XRP being one of them, that doesn't use mining, that's cheaper from an energy perspective than Visa, and already scales to 1,500 transactions a second. A lot of these problems have already been solved. The challenge for adoption comes back to policy. The policy uncertainty around some of the assets has limited adoption, particularly here in the US. And I'm speaking from Ripple and XRP because we use that asset because it's a half a cent per payment. It's basically free. It scales and it's efficient. To 1,500 transactions a second at nearly no energy burn. So we're at a point today where there are real solutions to all of these challenges that already exist. Policies become the challenge. And we heard on the first panel that around centralization on China, and this is going to be a hard pill for Peter to swallow. But 80% of the mining power for Bitcoin is controlled by 6 mining pools, 5 of which are in China. Today, the policy certainty in the US exists for Bitcoin and Ethereum, despite the fact those are China-controlled platforms. So activity goes to those platforms. What we need to do from a policy perspective in the US is look at the places where there are uncertainty. And one place I'm speaking directly for me here is XRP, where it looks like Bitcoin. It's decentralized, it's open source. We have 7% of the validation power on that, rather small in there. Grouping or giving clarity to those ones that are very similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, that have the same characteristics and should be classified the same way. And then we're creating a level playing field across all the cryptos. I'm not anti-Bitcoin or anti-Ethereum by any means. I think there's a lot of great potential and breakthrough there. But we need to have a level playing field so the market can pick which ones they want to use and not be, as today they are, hindered by regulatory uncertainty.
Why are remittances so important? Well, remittances are extremely important for the developing countries. The emerging markets, adopting and receiving countries like India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. They all rely on remittances. The reason they rely on remittances is because their citizens that are now diaspora working in other countries are sending money back home. Now, if a person or two sends money back home as foreign exchange, it's okay. But when tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of them send money back home, it mushrooms up to a lot of foreign exchange. And foreign exchange is badly needed in developing countries.